The following lesson is linked to Learning Outcome 2, Reading and Viewing. It addresses the assessment standard that requires learners to explore and explain key features of texts and how they contribute to meaning. Learners should be able to identify and explain the purpose, structure, and language use in texts. Learners should be able to distinguish between fact and opinion and give their own response. They should also be able to recognize some implied meanings.
Hi, in the first part of this lesson, we looked at 3 texts that all dealt with the subject of child support grants. We noticed that depending on the writer's intention or purpose, the text would be worded slightly differently. We also noticed that the language and register used also differed. We looked at 3 different types of texts. Remember that child support grant articles can take the form of educational articles. These would tell people about how to get a child support grant. There are also news articles. These deal with the need for child support grants or cases of where people have abused them. Finally, you also get editorials. In these, people would express their opinion about child support grants. In this part of the lesson, we're going to look at yet another example of a text dealing with child support grants. This example is an opinion piece. In opinion pieces, the writer expresses his or her point of view and combines emotive writing with convincing evidence. The opinion piece that we're going to look at comes from the editorial section of the Sunday Times. This opinion piece wasn't written by the editor of the newspaper, however. Instead, it was written by an expert on this subject. Beth Goldblatt, the author, is a senior research officer at the Center for Applied Legal Studies at Wits University. We haven't read the opinion piece yet, but just from what we know about the author, we can make a number of predictions. First of all, Beth Goldblatt is a woman. Therefore, she is more likely to be sensitive to the cause of mothers desperately trying to feed their children. Secondly, she's an academic. We've been told that she works at Wits University. This is also likely to influence her article. She will be giving an expert's opinion. We also know that she must be informed on this topic. If she wasn't, the paper would not have asked her to write an opinion piece about it. Finally, we can imagine that the piece is likely to be persuasive. Beth Goldblatt will give her expert's opinion and will try and convince readers to think the same. Well, we've made a lot of predictions about this article. Let's see if they're correct by reading some extracts. We'll begin with the title. 140 Rand is no incentive for anyone to have a baby. Beth Goldblatt says few teens plan their pregnancies. Well, here the author leaves the reader in little doubt as to what her opinion is. Even in the title of this article, Beth Goldblatt makes 2 clear statements. First of all, she says, 140 Rand is no incentive for anyone to have a baby. Here she states her belief that no one would fall pregnant on purpose just to be eligible for a child support grant. Secondly, she makes the statement that few teens plan their pregnancies. Again, her opinion is quite clear. In the balance of the article, she is going to encourage readers to agree with these opinions. In the first part of this lesson, we learned 2 techniques that journalists use to encourage readers to agree with them. Do you remember what these were? Do you think it's likely that these techniques will be used in a formal opinion piece? What techniques do you think will be used? Let's read the first paragraph and see if you're correct. Teachers and the public are pointing fingers at the government's child support grant, accusing it of contributing to teenage pregnancies. Is this a statement that the author believes? No, it isn't. In the title of this article, Beth Goldblatt has already said that she doesn't think 140 Rand is incentive for anyone to have a baby. So why does she begin her opinion piece like this? She's presenting a view that she doesn't agree with because she's going to use the rest of the article to show that this viewpoint is in fact incorrect. Why is it important that you should pay attention to what she says? Child support grants are something that all South Africans should have some knowledge of. Also, if you pay attention to how this well-written opinion piece has been constructed, you will be able to use some of these techniques when you are writing texts for a debate or for an argumentative essay. Conservative groups all over the world raise concerns about women recipients of welfare draining resources without contributing to society and having children in order to access more grants. What is powerful about this statement is that she sums up the prejudices of many people. As the article continues, Goldblatt gives even more evidence in favor of welfare mothers. Studies in the US have found that women on welfare are less likely to have further children than non-welfare counterparts because of the small welfare payouts and the high cost of raising children. Here, Beth Goldblatt is able to quote a study that explains that because people on welfare are given a small amount of money and raising children is very expensive, they are very unlikely to keep having children. This goes against the common thinking that people would be encouraged to keep having children to keep being eligible for the grants. The study that she's just quoted is an American one. Let's see if the same is true for South Africa. In a national survey of youth, more than half of young mothers said they had fallen pregnant while still at school. These young pregnancies have long been a problem. Their cause is rooted in poverty, gender inequalities, lack of education, coercive sex, cultural attitudes, and other factors. This paragraph shows that teenage pregnancies are a huge problem in South Africa. However, teens don't fall pregnant just to be eligible for a welfare grant. Let's look at what the reasons are. First of all, there's poverty. People don't have enough money. Then there are gender inequalities. By this, Goldblatt means that men tend to have more power than women in deciding when to have children. The next reason is lack of education. This could mean that teens either don't know how contraception works or they don't know where it's available. Another cause is coercive sex. By this, Goldblatt means that teens are often talked into having sex before they're ready. Next, there are cultural attitudes. It may be the norm for teens to have children young. So Goldblatt was able to provide hard evidence for the real reasons why South African teenagers fall pregnant. It is not true that they fall pregnant just to be eligible for welfare. At the start of this lesson, we made a number of predictions about what we thought the article would be like. Let's see if these were correct. First of all, we said that the article would be sensitive. Well, Goldblatt has dealt with this topic with dignity and sensitivity. Next, we said that we thought the article would be academic. Goldblatt has cited evidence from an American study and a South African study, so yes, it is academic. We also thought that the article would be informed. Goldblatt uses a range of evidence. She does not resort to giving opinions and not backing these up. She is able to back up what she says. Finally, we thought the article would be persuasive. I believe that it is. She is able to give her opinions and give the readers food for thought. So how does this article differ from those that we looked at in the first part of this lesson? Let's analyse it using the same criteria we did then. First of all, let's consider the intention. Beth Goldblatt's aim was to prove that teens don't fall pregnant just to be eligible for a welfare payout. Instead, there are many other factors. Secondly, let's think about the target audience. Goldblatt has used an academic style and some complicated terminology. Not all readers of the paper would necessarily be able to understand it. Instead, it's aimed at an educated and informed audience, and not necessarily the teenage mothers that it talks about. Thirdly, let's think about the genre. This is an opinion piece, and it appears in the editorial section. It does not use highly emotive language, but it does convey the opinions convincingly by giving evidence. Finally, let's think about the format that's used. No pictures or catchy puns were used in this article. It's an editorial. People focus simply on the words of the article. So this opinion piece is quite different from the text that we looked at in the first part of this lesson. This is because the target audience and the writer's intention are completely different. I hope that this series on evaluating and comparing texts have proven to you that texts can be quite different even if they're on the same topic, because they're there to serve different purposes. Keep these techniques in mind when you read the newspaper, and soon you'll be seeing these features for yourself. So until next time, keep reading. Goodbye.